Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard in Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who is joined as always by his friend Beriadir, because here we are in Dol Amroth still. So good afternoon to all the Beriadirs out there. Looking forward to more Dol Amroth action as much as I am. Okay. Oh, I seem to be down. My quest log seems to be down to merely investigating suspicious persons in the court of the fount. Oh, right, because I got interrupted in that instance, which I totally finished, so that one counts. And since it's a recurring daily anyway, it's not like it's going to get rid of the quest ring. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. So, this fountain has so many quest rings around it that it's frankly intimidating. Gryfflet really wants to be an honorary Beriadir. Really does. But, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, we all have that dream, don't we? Somewhere deep within us, lives within all of us, the dream of being appointed an honorary Beriadir. Yeah, these are. I know these are the dailies, and obviously I'm not going to do them every day. Yeah. The first set are the ones that sent me out to that Corsair camp. Right? These ones? Yeah, exactly. Let's just see what the other quests are like. Of course, Gryfflet's point, right, his overarching quest is to do all the quests, which is why I find myself in such a dilemma here. But at the same time, so he wants to at least look and see what the quests are. Let's see.
Gondor needs your aid.
Okay. Ooh, Talanduial. Uh-huh. This quest is in the Western Gondor Dol Amroth category. Oh, it's how many I can do in a day. Right, whatever. Okay. The Corsairs have taken it as their own and are choking off our fishermen and supplies. To make it worse, they have brought a pair of drakes with them. Really? They have pet drakes? Oh man, just when you thought the Corsairs couldn't get any cooler. Okay. Well, see, I was afraid that some of these quests might be like they're gonna take, because I'm not gonna get to the island any other way, right? I'm in Ernil Cave. Okay, I'm just surveying here. I'm in Arnil Tunnels. Man. Tolfenas? But it's not even going to let me do all these quests, right? Because... yeah.
How may I help you, friend?
Right. You've completed 1 out of 6 in this category. Oh yeah, because I accepted 1, so I can only even accept 6 quests. Yeah. Well, that's going to be awkward. So I can only do 6 or attempt 6 in a day?
These are troublesome times indeed.
The paths of the dead had long been a forbidden place, but that didn't always stop people from venturing within. Man, I just say, Lojo gives the impression that the paths of the dead, far from being a place where no mortal has ever dared to step, is a place where people are constantly just wandering in there. I mean, like that they have to, like they should have built a fence, like that apparently they actually have to keep a guard, to keep people just moseying in there and having picnics. Whether by choice, force, or mistake. Some people are forced in there? What, like, why? By whom? These quests are my best chance to explore the paths of the dead. Okay, so the Ker Izel ones. Oh, man. See, I was going around looking at quests, trying to convince myself that they were mostly lame.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Okay. Well, Man, this is a real dilemma. Because, of course, the biggest problem here is that I can't do them all. Like, it's not even just a question of, like, well, it's going to take me a while. Oh, yeah, and I know what Beriadir wants me to do again. Well, I will follow the epic quest, Apujik. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. What a dilemma. Because you see, now, like, if I can only do 6 and then move on, I have to choose, like, which 6? Not Tarlang's Crown, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. But see, crossing dailies off the list, Hologro, is like not even... crossing dailies off the list is not even satisfying. Because then you come back the next day and they're back on the list, you know? I like to have, like, no quest rings behind me. I kind of, from my earliest completionist days, was always slightly resentful of dailies, you know, for this reason. Okay. Well, I think clearly I'll do 6. And I think, all things considered, though I would like to go out to the islands, I think the quests of the Paths of the Dead are the way to go. Yeah, exactly. The dailies are like Hutbold, but you don't even get to see a town get rebuilt. Yeah, exactly. At least there. And I could do different sets. It looks like I'm just restricted to 6 of all of these. Right? Because it just says Western Gondor, Dol Amroth, so that's all of them. Whereas at least I could do like a bunch in each sector, you know, of Rohan. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. we can talk about dwarf beards in a minute. Okay. Let's first of all, let me go here. No, not there. Western Gondor, Dol Amroth. Okay. If I cancel that one, will it reset my 6?
How may I help you, friend?
Yes, it will. Okay. So let's do the 4 Ker Isel here. Okay, yeah, we accept that.
These are troublesome times indeed.
The Morthon of the Great River, begins from within the Paths of the Dead. Rumor is Len Duskud, a pond within the ancient city, has been corrupted by the dead within. I bet it has. If those waters were to find their way into the Morthon, the entirety of this region would be irrevocably harmed. Well, see, that's a big deal. Remove any ruthless runestones. Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
How may I help you, friend?
Many of the Oathbreakers appear to have marched with Aragorn. She just knows this. A group of them, however, the Ruthless Dead, refused to accept his offer and now stew within the tunnels and caves. They are beyond redemption. Though they cannot be killed, they can be quieted. Oh, good. So I just could go and calm them down a little bit? I can't kill them, but I can calm them, right? I can quiet them. Is there a quieting room? That's good. Quiet any ruthless dead you find. Okay. All right, that's fine.
Gondor
okay, here we go.
needs your aid.
With most of its occupants now gone, a few brave souls are using the Paths of the Dead to traverse between here and Rohan. Yeah, it's become a highway, basically. Immediately become a highway. It used to be a picnic spot, now it's a highway. The majority are now making it through. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's already becoming a tourist location. Already becoming a tourist location. All right, let's see. And then I'll take 2 of yours. Beriadir.
How may I help you, friend?
Plant banners at Carabras. Well, if it'll allow me to go somewhere else. And then, let's see. The Fallen?
How may I help you, friend?
I've been reading reports from those venturing within the Paths of the Dead, which is like everybody at this point. When an Oathbreaker is quieted, something odd seems to happen. The ground turns black and foul, and any plants around are killed, and waters are tainted. Oh. So you mean there's like an ecological impact of quieting the ruthless dead? We have to really think this through carefully. I can lacquer it. Okay, after you have quieted one of the ruthless dead within Carabras, apply this lacquer to the area they fell. It should counteract the taint. Okay, so ecological cleanup. Yeah, I'll totally do that. And there's everybody's quest rings now with little, except for Beriadir, but I'm not doing that one again. I don't have time for that one. Okay, all right. So I will do these at the Paths of the Dead, and then I'll come back and I'll pursue the non-daily quests. That will be my plan. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. That's good. That's good. That's all fine. Okay. Let me then see. I should be able to. I'm gonna go find the stable master. Should be able to stable master much of my way up there. Okay. All right. Let us talk about this vexed dwarf women beard problem. This, I find, out of 3, the second most astounding fan reaction to the Amazon trailer. That is, there are 3 things that I see people saying all over the place. That it's not like I disagree with them or think they're wrong. They are wrong about several of the things. What blows my mind, though, is just the way that people talk about this. Why people care. That's what blows my mind. By the way, my number 1 thing on this list is how long elves keep their hair. Like, a bigger non-issue I can't even imagine. I mean, let me not be unfair. The one thing that I can understand how... I just realized Gryfflet has to fix his gloves. Here, hang on a second. Maybe these goat herders down here can help. It's not that I cannot understand, because I can, how people have certain images in their heads, especially people who love and have loved their whole lives the Peter Jackson movies. That's a big deal. Like, it's very natural. And when one sees something that looks different, one might say, that is not the proper thing. It's not that I can't understand that impulse at all, because I can. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to get over that, you know? Like, one needs to realize, to kind of see that for what it is, essentially. Merely a resistance to something that's different from what you're used to. And honestly, I can see almost nothing else other than that behind, like, the reaction. People seem to have this visceral reaction, which I simply don't have. I remember when, I was looking at the, the picture of young Elrond from the show. Like, people were reacting to Vanity Fair shots of Elrond, and the one in the trailer too, and being all like, why is his hair so short? I like, people are like, oh, like, he looks like, it looks terrible or whatever. And I'm just like, what are you even talking about? Like, I literally didn't even understand what people were saying until finally I was like, oh, wait, yeah, it's because his hair isn't long that people are objecting. But like, this is, like, it's seriously, from a book perspective, the biggest non-issue I can possibly think of. There is nowhere stated that it is that all elves have long hair. Like, why anybody should make a thing out of that, I have a really hard time seeing. Again, apart from that sort of very understandable. But where does the river come from? It kind of spills out from underneath this rock here? Does the Morthon go underground and come out here? That's interesting. Anyway, yeah, it's again, I find that I find that strange. And then that everyone who has that reaction is sort of acting like, oh, and this is like such an such an abomination to Tolkien, and I'm like, okay, really? That is, I think, it's the one that puzzles me most. The one that puzzles me third most is the Galadriel one. And that is just, again, I think it has a very similar root. I think that people are primarily thinking of, again, they're thinking of the depiction of Galadriel by, the portrayal of Galadriel by, Cate Blanchett under Peter Jackson's direction. And that's like who Galadriel is in their heads. And they're not really wrapping their minds around what is being described. And it's actually almost funny. No, it's not almost funny. I do find it funny. I mean, I don't mean in like a mean way, but there's a real irony. People are like, Galadriel's like, she shouldn't be, significantly younger. And I totally understand why people would say that. But of course they're totally wrong in saying that. And the irony is that they might have had a totally justifiable case before The Nature of Middle-earth came out, which was after the script was written and the season 1 shot for Amazon. They had no idea. But almost everything Tolkien says about Galadriel's age in The Nature of Middle-earth, which is a lot and many times with much math, exactly agrees with the depiction that they're doing of Galadriel. So again, it's ironic. I found that very ironic. Okay, here we are. I think Gryfflet will be in a slightly better place than he was coming through here the first time, level-wise. We'll see how this goes. All right. Anyway, that's the third most. But the second one is the dwarf beards thing. The dwarf women beards thing. So the only thing Tolkien said about this, certainly the only thing Tolkien says about this in the appendices of The Lord of the Rings, which is, of course, the primary text that they say that they're working with. Okay, this is Caer Isel here. And I'm supposed to defeat them, despite, like, with disregard for the ecological impact, I guess. Corpses? So this guy's a reanimated corpse who's just... Is he taking a nap? Oh, no. Look, they're just doing, like, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're lying on the ground. They're ghosts lying on the ground. Are they doing a reenactment of their own deaths? Well, the fortunate thing, though, is it gives me lots of opportunity to look at their gear. So look at they're wearing these, like, wrestling championship belts, which is cool. And you can see the mountain there. I love the like inverted V at the top, right? So you get the mountain, and then you get the inverted V, which looks like sort of rays coming out. I thought there was a sun behind it, but it doesn't look like a sun. It looks like rays. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Kendall! You look at there are so many. JJ, thank you for quoting that. I was just gonna try to quote that from memory, but I might have messed some of it up, so I'll come back to that in a second. Sorry, I don't want to, like, totally miss the fact that I'm getting to... I've already been here, right? So I've already seen it a little bit. Okay, I'm supposed to... Let me reorganize my quest rings here. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the suspicious characters. I've got... I'm planting banners. No, those are Caer Brass. Let me get the 4 Caer Isel ones. Okay. So I've got the pool of fetid water. Which one's the pool of fetid water one? Okay. There it is. Remove ruthless runestones. Right. Okay. Is that oh yeah, that's down the road there. That's where the ruthless runestones are. Okay. Great. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Nettlebrew. It's absolutely you're completely correct. You're completely correct. So here's the thing. So it starts in the appendices. Here's what Tolkien actually says in the appendices. Thank you, JJ, for quoting it for me. Okay. It's about Dis, right? The only dwarf woman. She's the only dwarf woman named in these histories. It was said by Gimli that there are few dwarf women, probably no more than a third of the whole people. They seldom walk abroad, except at great need. And here we go. Here's the money sentence. They are in voice and appearance, and in garb if they must go on a journey, so like the dwarf men, that eyes and ears of other people cannot tell them apart. That's it. That's the one sentence. That they are so like them that other people cannot tell them apart. They're often mistaken for dwarf men when they go out on journeys. That's it. That's what he says, right? From this, Nettlebrew, exactly what happens is Peter Jackson makes the joke, right? They give these lines to Gimli in that scene which got cut from the what am I looking for? Cinematic release, right? The non-extended version, which I faintly remember. Okay, I'm recovering remains? I missed that one. Oh. Yeah. Fallen, but not what? Fallen adventurers. Right. Return any remains of those you found within the paths of the dead. Oh, right. These are the picnickers. Picnicker skulls. Right. Yes. The skulls of the dubiously unwed theatrical edition. That's the word. Okay, right. Anyway, so it was cut from the theatrical edition. They gave to Gimli those very similar, right? They adapted those lines for Gimli. And then, when he got when he got to the, that like they are some, look so like the dwarf men that they're mistaken for them. And Aragorn makes the famous "it's the beards," joke to Éowyn. And that's it. Like, and then the legend was born, right? At that point, and everybody, I mean, look, like, I get it. It's funny, right? Like, it's funny. It's a very funny line. It comes across very well in the movie. That's all very understandable. It really is. But there are two things here, right? There are really two questions that one must ask. First of all, how essential is that? Again, like, the thing that I don't understand are the people who are treating this like, oh, look at the ruins. Another indoor tower. You'd think they might have gone with a more open concept. If you're building underground, right? I mean, I guess it's still cold, so you need to keep the heat in. So as long as it's not very warm in here. I'm thinking, of course, like prior to the all the dead folks. All right, I think I have to actually fight this one. Am I quieting him? Is that how this works? Oh, one-shotting the dead. How about that? Yeah. People are treating this... So, mind, like, they definitely have beards, is a reading of that line, which, by the way, I never had. I never shared that. It wasn't until the movies came out that even kind of, like... And oh, look, it's a dead reenactor over there. That was never part of my own mental imagery of the books. Like, I don't think that's even the only inescapable way to read that line. And yeah. So, like, is this even what Tolkien meant, and the image that Tolkien had in his mind? I think there's lots of reasons to doubt that, and the nature of Middle-earth has given us some more to show that, like, even if that were part of the original idea, he's definitely rethinking it later on. But there's another question, right? And again, people act like they can't even understand that this thing is a question. Oh, this is where I'm planting... What banners? I'm planting Dol Amroth banners? That'll teach him. What's the rationale here? Venture in there and plant several banners to show you do not fear the ruthless dead. Okay. Right. I don't fear the ruthless dead, so I'm planting Dol Amroth banners. One always has to, when you're doing an adaptation, there are a couple questions that you have to ask. One, of course, is what's in the book? What does it say? And not just like, what does it literally say? But what's, like, the intention of this? What's the purpose of this? What's going on here, right? Because sometimes when you're adapting from one medium to another, in order to maintain the spirit of what the author was talking about, you have to change it. An example, of course, we're standing right near an example of that in Lotro. And we've talked about it many times before. I'm referring, of course, to the size of the Stone of Erech, right? The Lotro developers knew perfectly well that the Stone of Erech was far smaller than that. It is described, and it's about a 6-foot diameter rock, a sufficiently large rock to bring on board your ship, right? Still kind of perhaps hard to justify taking it away from Numenor with you. And by the way, that is still one of my top 5 things I'm most looking forward to seeing in the Amazon show. That is Isildur lumbering down the pier with the Stone of Erech on his shoulders, and the look on Elendil's face when he sees that Isildur is going to bring his pet rock with him to Middle Earth. That's still one of like on my very short list of things I am just fascinating. Anyway, so that's but this is an illustration, right? Knowing full well, as they did, that the Stone of Erech is about 6 feet in diameter. It says so explicitly in the books. Knowing that, the Lotro developers instead made it like 30 feet in diameter. Why did they do that? Because they thought they could improve. They thought that like Tolkien's work sucked and they could improve on it? Because they didn't care about what Tolkien's work said? No, they made that change because they do care what Tolkien said, right? I'm not speculating here about what the developers were thinking. That's always dangerous because you don't know. In this case, though, I do know because I've talked to them about it, and I've heard Chris Pearson talk about this several times explicitly. Not just as a general principle, but in the case of the Stone of Erech specifically, the problem that they deemed, or like what they deemed to be the problem here, or potential problem, was that if they depicted it in the game to look exactly like it is described in the book, then it wouldn't look impressive. People would not even notice it. Right? Not only would you not be able to see it from a distance, but you could just like walk right by and be like, no, look at that little thing. That's a little weird, right? And that's not the effect that the Stone of Erech has. That they deemed that the most important thing about the Stone of Erech is that when you see it, there should be awe. It had that effect. Tolkien described like what people feel when they look at the Stone of Erech. Right? So what they did was they said, okay, how can we visually adapt this in such a way that it will evoke a similar feeling when you see it, right? That it will give you that sense of uncanniness, that it will give you that sense of awe that people clearly had when they saw the Stone of Erech in the book, right? But just doing a faithful adaptation of it isn't going to accomplish that, right? Isn't going to accomplish that at all. So they deemed if they make it bigger, and therefore, and I think, in my personal opinion, they succeeded. They succeeded with that. I think they succeeded with that really well. That's when you come around that corner, especially if it's not dark and you actually notice it, like I failed to the first time I came around that corner with Gryfflet. But when you come around that corner and you see the Stone of Erech for the first time in the game, you're like, whoa. Alien artifact, man. What the heck is that? And that's exactly like, if you're not looking at the Stone of Erech and saying, whoa, alien artifact, then they'd failed. Because that seems to be exactly the kind of reaction that people had to the Stone of Erech in the book, right? So there are many cases when you have to deviate from even a perfectly clear and explicit letter of the text in order to establish the effect. And And yeah, I think that principle. Oh, hey, come on, who's stealing the good stuff out of the chests? It's not right, and don't do it. Anyway, yeah. So this principle, no matter what your interpretation of that sentence, no matter what your convictions about this, that principle is obviously in play here. Obviously in play here. Ask yourself this. Why was that joke so successful in the movie? Why was that joke so successful? Because bearded women are intrinsically comical. Like, that's funny. That's always funny. It's always been funny, right? That's why, like bearded ladies were circus attractions back in the day, right? It's funny. It's comical. It has, I mean, it's a very funny joke. So the way that they, do, and remember that it's placed as part of the, like, getting to know one another sequence between Aragorn and Éowyn, right? It's a joke that they share. So, yeah, it's funny. It's always funny. One of the thing that I like best, the reasons I am excited to see what... Okay, let's see. Hang on a second. Which one is the red one? The Ruthless Dead? Defeat Ruthless Dead? Okay. And then the purple are... Which one's the purple? Fallen but not something or other? Oh, the remains. The skulls. Okay, right. I'm almost done with those, but still, apparently there's a couple more. And then... Ruthless Banner Bearers, specifically. Okay, I guess I should start hunting those. And then I go down to the Ruthless Runestones. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm... Let me turn back and look for the last skull, then. Over here. Before I move on and start attacking Banner Bearers without provocation. Anyway. So, as I was saying, Oh, there's one. I think that it is crucial for them to do this. I was just saying, one of the things I am most looking forward to, one of the things that made me happiest in the Amazon trailer, is the opportunity to have dwarves that are not comic relief. I liked Gimli in the films, and it's not like I thought that was like some kind of abomination. The fact is, we get almost nothing of dwarf culture in The Lord of the Rings. We get some. Right? Gimli gives us some things, and we lost those things in the films because of the choice to, like the whole, in particular, the whole Glittering Caves line, and there are a lot of ways in which dwarves were kind of minimized by the way that they were treated, the way that they were rendered into comedy in the films. But okay, right, you're gonna whack me with your banner. Apparently you're gonna stun me with your incorporeal banner. That's okay. Oh, look, I'm gonna stun you back. I'm gonna throw sand into your incorporeal eyes. How about that? Huh? Bet you didn't see that coming. So anyway, I am really looking forward to non-comic relief dwarfs. And they couldn't have telegraphed that more clearly if they had put it in print on the screen. Right? The fact that the very first dwarf that we see in the trailer is that one who is apparently Durin, one of the Durins, right? Durin the Fourth. And the first thing we see is like him standing there looking like really serious with tears in his eyes, right? That's the That's the image. That's the very first image of dwarves that the trailer gives us. And I was excited by that. Like, again, they were telegraphing so clearly, we're going to do serious dwarves. We're not going to, we're not just making them a joke, right? They would have to. I mean, you cannot do that. I get bearded women, always funny, right? If they had all the dwarf women with beards, they would completely undermine that look. And again, so this is where I come back to the question. I come back to the issue of making a change from the text in order, not because you don't give a crap about the text, but in order to be faithful to the text. Just like in Lotro they did with the Stone of Erech, right? If you want to be true to the dwarf culture that Tolkien eventually went on to depict, not his original conception of it, which was not even as comedy, but they were bad guys originally. When you... Man, these banner bears are all over the place. But if you want to take them seriously, then you... Even if he had described in detail the beards of dwarf women, which he does not, right? That's an extrapolation from what he said. Even I'm not like critiquing it as an extrapolation, but it is clearly an extrapolation. Anyway, so like, even if you have, even if that had been explicit rather than merely an extrapolation, you still should, if you want to be faithful to the text, you should still, it would behoove them to deviate from that detail, because it's going to be hard to take dwarves seriously, as long as the dwarf women in particular. Anyway, so yeah. Anyhow, it's not only like, okay, it's 100% justifiable. It's clearly the right choice. It's clearly the right choice. It's clearly the best. It's clearly the most respectful choice. I was happy. I was excited when I saw that the dwarf women didn't have beards. And the way in which people are treating this as if it's like a central point of Tolkien doctrine. It is not. It is not. And I honestly think that Tolkien's change of heart about this subject has to do with the fact that I think he kind of realized that that it makes them too funny. So yeah, it's just, but again, it's number 2 on my list of things that I find just enormously surprising, that people, like, if you're this invested in the idea that seriously, like, I look, I'm not gonna mock Tolkien purists. I'm not. Like, I have too much sympathy. I have too clear memories of being a purist myself, especially when I was in high school. Like, I get it. And, I can't criticize people for that. But this is not even a Tolkien purism question. It's not even. That's why it blows my mind that people, they're gonna have to make changes. I mean, I literally at this point still cannot even imagine the kind of changes that are going to be involved in, did I kill enough of them? Oh, good, I'm done. I can stop hunting these poor things. And they stay, their corpses stay. So the reenactors are people I killed before, I guess. They just hang out. That's really fascinating. So are these quietened They are quiet now. So nap time for the ruthless dead. That's the idea here, right? That's great. That's great. Okay, now I have to go remove the ruthless runestones. I'm trying to think of what that reminds me of. Ruthless runestones put me in mind of, like, remove the ruthless runestones. Makes me think of something, but I don't know what. I have a vague, like, is it like a cartoon or something? I can't even be sure. Yeah. Try using the corpse. Is it usable? Oh, I can lacquer them. Oh yeah, that's how you improve them. Okay, so this is I thought the environmental effect thing was elsewhere, but okay. All right, let's. I better go. Here I was just admiring, their patience. So first, it's nap time, and then you lacquer them. Got it. Little redhead, people will never stop looking at bearded women as punchlines. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Okay. Anyway, and again, I hope you understand. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to make fun of the idea. I don't find the idea a comical idea any more than I certainly don't find it an essential idea, like an essential part of Tolkien's imagination here. Okay, so I might have to. Oh, here we go. No, I can't use these. These guys are just napping, and I can't lacquer them. Okay, hang on. So the lacquering quest is which one? The fallen. Yeah, it's the green ones. Okay. All right, let me just check my. Okay, defeat ruthless banner bearers. I did that. Oh, at the Shadow Watch. Different set of banner bearers. Got it. Okay. That's just not the right button. Go. No, stop. I've already got it running. Okay. All right. Sorry, I was stealthing myself. That's what was meant to be happening here. Okay, and okay, I can take a left. Got it. All right. I'll look for more of the ones I already killed. I guess if I have to, I can re-kill some. So anyway, yeah. Little Redhead again. I'm not trying to say that like I find it comical myself, and I'm trying to preserve the comedy of that. I'm just saying that is far too strong a reaction for them. Like there's work they're trying to do. There's work that they're trying to do. I mean, in the story that they're telling. Oh, I can't lacquer him? Oh. Well, at least I can get this treasure. There's work that they're trying to do in telling the story, and there's no reason to take that risk. There is already, people are already... again, Peter Jackson has created this, Pavlovian reaction that dwarves are funny, right? Even to some extent, the Hobbit movies attempted to undermine that, but the Hobbit movies were so bad that did not really work. And of course, any work that he had done or might have done or attempted to do to undermine that concept with a character like Thorin, for instance, was then, he then undermined himself with, Dayan, right? So it's, yeah. There is work if they want to do a serious dwarf story. I couldn't even see myself. I had no idea where I was in relation to that. I was trying to stab in the back, but it's hard when I can't see either him or me. Darn it. Okay, so it's not the ones I kill. No, I'm not specifically targeting. I'm trying to figure out, like, where, like, more corpses to lacquer. That's what I want. I want more corpses to lacquer. But I'm not finding any. So I was going to try making some and then lacquering them, you see? But it didn't work. Anyway, but I'm not here to bash the Hobbit movies. I'm just saying, if they had done, this is why I wholeheartedly approve of non-bearded dwarf ladies in the Amazon show. Because talk about your inessential things. Again, you can make the argument. You can totally make the argument that he was implying that they had beards. I still do not consider that an inescapable reading of that line in the appendices. You can say that he was implying that. What you can't say is that the implication of that one line was therefore like the heart of Tolkien, right? The heart of Middle Earth. It's not the heart of Middle Earth. Yeah. Yes, before I agree, I want more corpses to lacquer. I mean, who hasn't said that at one point or another, right? Really is a universal human experience that binds us all together. We may have our disagreements, we may have our differing life experiences, but we've all been frustrated by the inability to find enough corpses to lacquer. I bet Beriadir says that to himself all the time, Drowsnake. I think you're completely right about that. Okay, am I doing the lacquering thing wrong? All right, let me try again up here, because up here is where I was lacquering before. So let me try making another corpse up here, and we'll see if I have any more luck in lacquering him afterwards. I think so. There we go. Okay, so the problem was it's the ecological threat only comes from corpses that are made in this part. Okay. All right, it's geographically located issue. All right. Okay, having established that, I should be okay now. Great. Anyway, yeah. So, if it's all the same to folks, I will continue to be puzzled by people's very strong. It's not even a subject for purism. Like it's really not. It's really not. It's misguided. Now, a lot of purism is misguided. Again, because purism, the problem with purism is that it is, and again, I say this with affection, I was there. This is what got me out of this. Like, it was this realization that broke me, that cured me of my purism. The realization that purism is mindless. It is mindless. It is not respect for the work. It is an unwillingness to think about it. That's what cured me of purism. When I realized that what I was doing was not like, well, what I was doing was wanting to show off was one of the things I was doing. Now, that's me. That's not necessarily every purist. But I was actually like resisting careful thought about it, right? Instead of saying, what is important in this passage? Like, what is it, what's going on here? Like, what exactly is Tolkien doing, with this stuff? Instead of asking that question, I was merely saying, like, what does the text say? And, like, does that thing that the text says, or that I think the text says, does that match with what I'm seeing? On the screen or whatever. And that's not really even a very interesting question necessarily. So anyway, that's okay. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna take a left. All right, I gotta wander down to the blue and the purple now. It's just when I realized how much less interesting was the question I was actually asking. That is every detail mentioned in the text being preserved? How much less interesting of a question that is than, a question like, what are the most important themes and ideas in the text, and how do those stack up? Like, how is the text, or how, like the adaptation handling that, Okay, I'm trying to find my way over. I think if I go up here, yeah, I can get up towards the Shadow Watch. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, well, exactly, JJ. And that, I think the way you've just said it is like the heart of purism, right? A lot of arguments on the internet are less about thinking that the matter is important and more about thinking that it's important to be correct. And that's where I was saying about like my own pride, right? I was wanting to like show off how much I knew, right? And therefore sort of like competing with people, like I know more than you know, and so therefore that's why I'm going to say that you're wrong. Yeah, no, I was totally guilty of that in my younger days. I get one of the main things that did I get one? No, he didn't count. He didn't count. So was he insufficiently ruthless? Was that his problem? Anyway, I just okay, this guy counts. Fine. One of the other things that I think changed and led to an almost inevitable change in me, anyway, was becoming a teacher. Basically, when my mindset changed from like one person trying to show off among other people, which is what I had been before, right? Like in college and high school. And instead, I was a teacher in the classroom, and therefore, spending more time thinking about questions such as what is really important here, right? How can I help my students to see what's really interesting and what really matters in this text. That helped also, because I began to kind of force myself to ask different sets of questions, and that was kind of liberating. But anyway, it's one thing to be a purist. It's another thing to take concepts like it's the dwarf women thing. It seems to me an unusually mindless. Now, hang on a second. What is a ghost doing with a bag of caltrops in his pocket? I saw that he was doing an AoE effect that was harming me. But I'm like, obviously, those can't be caltrops, right? Are they spiritual caltrops? I think they must be. It must be. Yeah. The caltrops are a spiritual metaphor. I think that's what's totally happening here. Who's their supplier of caltrops? All right. And now it's just me and the ruthless runestones. The fishmonger is the supplier, you think? Now, I wouldn't rule it out. Drosnick says, I hear that Gryfflet and the Ruthless Runestones will be heading Weatherstock this year. The Ruthless Runestones does kind of sound like a band name. What kind of band does it sound like? The Ruthless Runestones. Kind of sounds like a ska band. Okay, I can see that. Yeah, that seems a pretty good suggestion, actually. What could be likelier? All right, I think this is the road to the Ruthless Runestones. See, I don't think it's quite metal enough. I don't think it's quite metal enough, Gussie. I think it would need to be. I mean, like, ruthless is okay, you know, to use the word ruthless in the name of a metal band, but yeah. But I don't know. All in all, I don't think it has quite the same effect. See, Low Redhead, now that I can get behind. Maybe speculating that perhaps that banner bearer was in his lifetime a therapist, and now he drops emotional caltrops so you can walk through your issues. I think he's trying to, like, that the spiritual caltrops represent your issues that he's attempting to trip you over. Right? I don't think his intention is actually therapeutic. I think that he has eschewed his, because he's ruthless now, right? And so he just, like, it's just that he knows how to do emotional harm. So yes, it's like the little anxieties or, oh, I have enough. I was going to collect all the Ruthless Runestones. Okay, hang on a second. Did I milestone? I think I did. Didn't I? Where are we? Here we are. No, here we are. Dol Amroth, I did. Okay. Scottish Highland bagpipe band singing? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think I did all the quests I have. I think I did. Pretty sure I did. Yes, I did. Look at that. All of them done. So here I am at a fountain, not the fountain. Where even am I in the city? Oh, okay. Near the stable master. Got it. So these are my reflections. Again, I still completely reject the idea that the bearded dwarf women were in any way. No, I mean, I absolutely repudiate the idea that they are essential to Tolkien's imagination in any way. And I do not even find it an inescapable reading of the few passages of text from which people draw it. That's...
How may I help you, friend?
Ooh, I get a swan box? A token of appreciation from the Swan Knights? Maybe by way of cosmetics? If so, I'm going to be so happy I chose the Swan Knights. Okay, I'm getting all these swan... Hang on, do I have inventory space for swan boxes? No, not really. Oh, okay, hang on. Sorry, Golusel. Give me a moment here. Give me a moment. Let's just see what's going to happen with these swan boxes. Oh, whoa, what happened? It did happen. Oh, I got tokens. Okay, why are they not going away? Shouldn't they go to my wallet? Can I force them into my wallet? Gold tokens. I don't want these in my inventory. Ooh, enhancement runes. That's cool. And warehouse tokens. Oh, I got the warehouse token from before. Oh, no. Silver tokens. Shouldn't... Tokens are not walletable. But I have like 1 billion different tokens. Look, I got golden tokens of Wildermore and Anduin and the Rivermark. Silver tokens. I got more tokens you can shake a stick at in my wallet. Why don't these go in my wallet? They're not bound. Well, they're bound to my inventory right now is my problem. Oh, I was hoping for cosmetics.
How may I help you, friend?
These useless tokens are the only gratitude that I receive.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Okay. Okay. Well, at least they stack. I mean, it could be worse as far as its impact on my inventory is concerned. I'll use them to gain rep. Okay. All right.
How may I help you?
Fear
friend?
is a powerful force. Yes, it is. Okay.
Gondor needs your aid.
Okay, who's this guy? Swan Knight tokens? The other one didn't give me Swan Knight tokens. So I have warehouse tokens and Swan Knight tokens. And then silver tokens. Okay, so I can't use them. It's not letting me use them. Okay, that one did. The Swan Knight tokens I can use, and the warehouse token then presumably I can use. What's this one? Gold token? Okay, gold token of Dol Amroth, which is obviously directly parallel to gold tokens of Wildermore and gold tokens of the Wild, and yet here they are, cluttering my inventory. What do I do with these? JJ exactly right. JJ says, didn't Tolkien say the invention of dwarf women having beards is the foundation? The stories were made rather to provide a world for the bearded dwarf women than the reverse. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's totally what he said. That's totally what he said. Yeah, cool. Let's see. Yeah, so what do I do with those tokens? And why? I still don't understand why they're not my inventory. Why they're in my inventory. It seems not right. People trade them? Okay, but you know how they could stop people trading them? Putting them in my wallet. Can I put them in my wallet and then forget I have them like every other thing I do? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, fine. I think I'm going to drop them then, because I don't think I'm going to use them. Right? I mean, what can I even do with them? All right, anyway, but that's fine. Let us now return to other quests, and I have two. I have my suspicious characters, whom I've been putting off, and what was the epic? Oh, back up to the beacons. Right, well, let me finish the ones in town, and then I'll get back to the beacons. So I happen to remember that there's a suspicious character right over here. Pointing out the flaws in Lotro's mechanics is a whole separate genre of media. Okay, I understand. Well, look, I shouldn't complain. Look, I am so grateful for the wallet. The wallet is like my second favorite. These guys are awesome. I just love the suspicious townspeople. I mean, what's suspicious about him, though? I mean, he's shaved his head and put on a pretty obvious false beard. It's a totally fake-looking beard. And he's carrying a drawn cutlass in his hand. But doesn't he also look really uncomfortable? I mean, I think he looks just... He's like... I don't have my cummerbund. I'll try talking to him. Hi, do you wish you were wearing more pink? You're the one Captain Abaddek is looking for. I've been searching for you. You and your friend Captain Jajax. Oh, really? You and Jajax are both dead. I think factually untrue. Oh, rue the day you cross the Corsairs. Okay. Not gonna let curs like me live, huh? His threats were unsettling. Well, but again, you have to make allowances for somebody who is forced, you know, to set aside his colorful raiment. Okay, so who else am I looking for? Suspicious person at the wharf. I remember him. Unless they're talking about the fishmonger. He's not quite dead yet. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, I barely even started to talk about like the question of adaptation. Hey, I know. I think I'm going to jump down. Wouldn't that be fun? What if I jump down just a little bit less far? Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not going to jump. Oh, I said that the wallet was my second favorite thing that they ever did. My favorite thing that they ever did is the crafting carryalls. Oh, crafting carryalls. Life saver for pack rats. Oh man. Okay. Oh, look at this guy's false beard. Dude, like, that's a really bad match. Probably it's a false beard and wig, right? And you just couldn't be bothered to find a matching set. Oh, hang on. I'm just looking at his hands. Look at his hands. Really rough hands, man. It's a pretty fancy coat, though, that you got. He's looking like a noble, but, like, kind of doing it wrong. Where is Jajax? The captain wants his head atop the mast of his ship to answer for his crimes. It would look nice next to yours. Okay. Keep telling yourself that. Unfortunately, it won't let me just stab them from stealth. Severe indeed, but empty thus far. And then there's one at the warehouses. Didn't I start with a dude at the warehouses? Oh, you have a quest for me. Do you, fishmonger? What is it?
I greet you, friend.
Do I enjoy fishing? Ha. Yeah. We'll see about that. Don't you try to distract me with fishing. Notice how she cost me my secondary weapon last time, right? All part of the plot, obviously. Obviously. Man, oh man. Okay. Back up, then we go, I guess. Yeah. So again, when you're thinking about adaptation, having respect for the text, being faithful to the text means so much more. Again, back to my Stone of Erech example, right? They changed the text not because they were disrespecting the text, not because they were disregarding the text, but because they were trying to be true to the text. And you're translating. It's like translating from one language to another. You have to make choices when you're adapting from one medium to another, and you have to think about the consequences of those choices. And sometimes, if you are trying to create, so the language translation parallel, I think, is actually kind of a good one. There are some times when the direct word for word translation does not have the same effect that the original text had, because in the new language, in the language you're translating to, the word that was used, the word that is the direct translation of the other word, doesn't have the same connotations, right? It doesn't have the same impact. So you're forced with a question, right? Do I stay true to the closest word to that, or do I try to create the same effect, right? Do I use a word which is I know to be not the one, not the closest one to the one that was used in the original, but the one that will create what seems to be the same effect in whatever the effect is, however that works. That's a really okay. That's where the warehouses are, down by the docks. I'm totally going the wrong way. Huh. Fascinating. Okay. Anyway, like that very often happens, right? And you have to make that kind of choice. And so very often changes happen because, like, again, even if your number one goal is faithfulness to the original text, if that's like the only thing that matters to you, you're still going to have to make changes from it in order to achieve faithfulness to the text. But here's the other thing. And this is a thing I didn't understand at all until I started really thinking through adaptation myself in practical ways. And that is, faithfulness should never be your number one priority when you're doing an adaptation. It absolutely should not be. It's important. It's very important even. But it isn't and can't be the number one priority. Your number one responsibility is to tell a good story yourself. This is the number one thing. This is what makes the Hobbit movies horrible and the Lord of the Rings movies good. Even though the Lord of the Rings movies are quite unfaithful to the books in many ways. There are many things that the Lord of the Rings movies do that I strongly object to. Not just details, themes, concepts. They screw up a lot of what's going on in the Lord of the Rings. And I have always objected to it rather strongly. Okay, now here is a suspicious townsperson. He's just like, I don't care, man. I'm rocking my sarong and you can't make... Oh, it's Jajax. Of course he is. I thought there was a... Okay, so you're the suspicious town person? Well, you look suspicious for different ways. Jajax is like, I'm wearing magenta and I'm proud of it. You drab Gondorians got nothing on me. Of course. From a distance, I could see that it was a corsair, and so... All right, Jajax, what do you have for me? You have a fortified jacket of the Great Shore. Excellent. I've been looking for you, but the people of this city only give me strange looks and never answers. You cannot help but laugh at Jajax's brazen appearance in the city of his enemies. Why do you laugh? I left much of my armor behind and wrapped myself in this flimsy lady's cloak, like the men do here. Is the disguise sufficient? You're right. Of course, the cloak. I see it. Yep. No, you can't even tell, Jajax. You blend in perfectly. In all seriousness, friend, I'm glad to see you. You have defeated all but one of the captains of the Corsairs. Only Abadek remains, and he is the deadliest and cruelest of all. Okay. Hang on, Jajax. I've got some... Oop. I said, hang on, Jajax. Be patient. Be patient. I have some cosmetic work to do here. Because I need to upgrade my Reinforced Jacket of the Valleys with my Reinforced Jacket of the Great Shores. Oh, yes, I think so. Finally, a subtle change. I mean, it's change of device, but there we go. Now, my front matches my back. Oh, good. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, do I actually want to equip this armor? Yes, I do actually want to equip this armor. How about that? I'll do that too. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Oh man, JJ, there's so many examples. I mean, and I don't want to just start ranting about the Peter Jackson films. But I mean, that's not my point. My point is, in the Lord of the Rings movies, Peter Jackson succeeded in his primary job, which was to tell a really good story. There's so much I don't like about the Lord of the Rings movies as far as their interpretation of the book is concerned. I think that they, again, and it's not just subtle things. They're significant, like the ring, and what the ring is and how the ring works. Like, they deviate wildly from Tolkien's conception of the ring. and I dislike a lot of the way. I just personally, I don't like it. However, he tells a fantastic story. The movies are wonderful stories. Like, they're really, really good movies. And internally, if you can shut off your purist, right? If you can if I, kind of set that aside and just enter into the films, they're wonderful and they're excellent movies. Whereas, again, the Hobbit films are horrible, and it's almost impossible to enter into them. That's the primary difference between the two. I have said, and I will say again, and I will continue to say until I'm blue in the face, I think the Hobbit films show a much more detailed adherence to Tolkien's texts. They are taking the texts much more seriously in the Hobbit films than they do in the Lord of the Rings films. I think they got much better. And I'm serious. Sandworms and all, like, even accounting for the sandworms. The sandworms are in the text. Like, that they are sandworms and involved in the way they are is an absolutely ridiculous, even ludicrous adaptation of them. But they're based on a line in the text. Like, they did that kind of thing throughout the Hobbit films. That is, were unjudicious and sometimes silly in the way that they, interpreted things or, applied them or adapted them. But they were working from the text almost everywhere. Anyway, but the difference, what makes the difference between those two sets of movies is that one tells a good story and the other does not. That is the number one responsibility of any adaptation. If you're making a movie, your first responsibility is to make a good movie. That is more important than faithfulness to the text. And if you feel that you have to change things from the text in order to accommodate the story that you're trying to tell, that's okay. It's not only okay, it's necessary. And it's often going to be necessary to do that. And people get all like, oh, do they think they know better than Tolkien? Well, no, but Tolkien, they're telling a different story than Tolkien was. It's not the same. It's not the same books. Even Tolkien confronts this when telling different stories. Anyway, it's that's the number one, and you got to remember that's the number one thing. You can't go into it saying obviously their top priority really should be preserving every detail in the text. That can't be their top priority, apart from the fact that it's impossible because of that translation issue that I was talking about before. When you're translating from one medium to another, you can't do it. It's not possible. But also, your first duty is their first duty at the Amazon series is to make a good TV series. That's their number one. It has to be their number one priority. Okay, anyway, sorry, Jajax, I've been leaving you hanging here. If we do not take out Abadek, he will not rest until we are both hunted down and beheaded. For that is his style. I always admired him for it, but not when it's my head on the line. Do you wish to work together once more? I say we split up and investigate 2 camps where Corsairs have made their landings south of Dol Amroth. Okay. You go to the beach to the southwest, and I will investigate the ruins to the south. Oh, I wanted to do the ruins. Jajax, that's not fair. Come on, can we swap? I already did a beach. I want to do the ruins. That's why I wanted to go to the islands, Jajax, because I thought that there might be ruins there. Search for Abadek, but don't engage him. We must fight him together. Let us meet on the crossroads between the 2 camps when we're done. Ooh, and you'll give me earrings? I really, as much as I appreciate having the Swan of Dol Amroth on my chest as well as my back now, matching, it's good, right? I'm grateful. I kind of wish that Jajax would have given me a nice sarong. Yeah. Oh, I will get to see the ruins in the south? Okay, all right. As long as I'm not going to be just thwarted from them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, JJ, I think that goes without saying. He says, what irks me is people who are picking on Amazon often hold up Jackson's movies as being the standard of being true to Tolkien, as if he only made the most minor of changes. Personally, my standard is the Soviet Lord of the Rings. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that the Soviet Fellowship of the Ring is like the text of film adaptations. I mean, there is a film adaptation that is never going to be surpassed, and that is the Soviet Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, after all, it still contains, by far, the best film adaptation of Tom Bombadil ever recorded. Exactly, Hologro. That's just it. That's just it. Okay, so I got to get out of town. Oh, wait, hang on. So maybe I should go out of the gates that are right here instead of riding all the way through the city again. Yeah. No. I mean the film adaptation, Phil. The film adaptation. The Soviet Lord of the Rings film adaptation. As the greatest film adaptation ever made. Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Where am I going? Oh, that's... No. Okay, that's the epic quest. Oh! That's... Oh, back to the same camp again. Okay. Great. Can do. Okay, so the South Beach is in the... South. Got it. Okay. Before I am not without hope. I'm not saying I'm counting on it because I don't want to get my expectations up. But I'm not without hope that there might be a Tom Bombadil cameo, at the very least, in the Amazon series. I think that's possible. Again, I'm not gonna assume it because I don't want to get my hopes up. But in any case, I comfort myself with the knowledge that even if we don't get Tom Bombadil, again, at least we already have the best ever film adaptation of Tom Bombadil in the Soviet Lord of the Rings. Okay. You think Jack Black would make an amazing Tom Bombadil? I will say this. Jack Black is one of the actors, like, as an actor, he has a sufficiently low sense of his own personal dignity. That's clearly a prerequisite to playing Tom Bombadil. Like, if you are worried at all, if you're at all afraid that you might make yourself look like an idiot, then you can't play Tom Bombadil. And clearly Jack Black would not be worried about that problem, you know. He's proven that on many occasions. So he has that requisite. Could he really pull it off? Maybe. Yeah, The Rock works on the same principle. Yeah, yes, but not really Bombadilian in that same way, I think. This is why we get the ladder for that. I was wondering, remember, I went up here before and I'm like, what's the point? Now, of course, it's all clear. This is a good vantage point. All right, I'm going to look. You see no signs of Captain Abedak. How on earth am I going to tell from here? Those just don't look like Captain Abedakian ships. Okay, which crossroads? That crossroads. Okay. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so The Rock, it's similar. He also is not overburdened with a sense of his own dignity. But yet the sort of his idiom is very different, you know. But that's why, of course, you'll remember. Well, okay, I say you'll remember. If you happen to be one of the people who has been watching the Silmarillion film project from the beginning, you will recall that we cast the Rock in season 1 of the Silm film project. We cast him as Tulkas, which I still love. It's one of my favorite castings we've ever done. I think the Rock would make a fantastic Tulkas. It would just be perfect. Yeah, would just be perfect. Little Redhead, I cannot agree about Billy Connolly. I don't want to see, I'd never want to see Billy Connolly anywhere near a Tolkien adaptation again. I found his depiction of Dan insulting. It was, yeah. I don't think I can sufficiently express how much I disliked his portrayal of Dan in the films. And it's like not entirely his fault. I mean, you know, like the portrayal has a lot to do with the director as well. You know, it wasn't just, you know, improving it there. But I talk about, like, he made a laughingstock out of Dan, I believe, on purpose. Like, and that was, I strongly dislike that. Right, it wasn't being Dan, he was being Billy Connolly. Sure. Uh-oh. No, I was just like, where is he? Oh, dear. Search for him in the ruins to the south. Hooray! Okay, but that's going to have to be next time. All right, we'll have to stop at the crossroads. Yeah, oh, exactly. He was in the Hobbit movies there. Yeah, unfortunately, an important part of being an actor is being a different character. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for, you know, being willing to be open-minded about bearded dwarf women. Next time, we'll do these are the ruins up on the hill that I've been waiting to get to, right? So excited about that. And hopefully we'll find Jajax, and then I'll head up and I'll do the beacons. We'll continue the epic quest. But I'm going to wait until they send me out of town from Dol Amroth as well before I continue that. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And I will see you guys next week. We're coming towards the end. Wait, will I? Yes, I will. I will see you next week, but not the week after. Once we get into March, things start getting dodgier as far as my schedule is concerned. But I will be here next week. So, thanks, everybody, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.